Now we're getting to the point where GX have got that first win on the board. They've shown that they can get a win over Fnatic. They've done it on the red side. They'll now on the blue side. They'll need to now do it on the red side against Fnatic. And Fnatic on the other side of this. We heard Grabs, talking in the comms before that last game, saying, look, this is game 3, they're going to be chaotic. The more chaotic it gets, the better it is for them. Let's slow it down. And I think towards the late game, it did get a little bit more chaotic and felt like the Yorick provided so much value through that macro chaos. And now Fnatic have to go back a little bit to the drawing board. On the blue side, though, which has been viewed very, very powerfully in the meta.
Very interesting to see how this draft plays out. GX have had something unusual, it feels like, in pretty much every draft we've looked at, be that a Vladimir top or a Rumble support. They've certainly had a few things prepped and ready for Fnatic to try and catch them out with the curveballs. The Yorick surprise counterpick out of nowhere definitely hurt Oscarinin's Ornn fairly heavily as the game went on, even if the Ornn was still pretty scary in those team fights. Still a little problematic. Bans now largely completed. The Nico off the table. Remember, went basically through the ban phase last time around. Was not prioritized. Yeah, surprisingly.
Well, but because GX had the Rumble Flex, they didn't feel like snapping it up. Now, of course, with that still on the table, it is banned by Fnatic. What are our other power picks left available? We haven't seen that much prior towards it, but hey, I mean, it has been decent in the past, of course. And that's actually going to be banned away by GX, thinking, okay, Razork does play a fair amount of that. Vi permanently banned throughout this series, and we're left asking, okay, what do you want to line pick? Ryze instant locked in for Humanoid. Strong champion right now, with the ability to get that point-and-click CC down.
I know it was a point you made a little earlier in the series saying, look, with teleports, particularly in the early and mid stages, being so long, taking so long to get to their destinations, anyone with a global feels increasingly valuable, and Ryze certainly can do that. We've seen a lot of scary Realm Warp plays around and about that ability to pull the trigger at any given moment. Pretty scary to manage.
I was thinking just Ryze is very good at setting up different champions. You can set up a side laning top laner because you can teleport to their lane. You can set up high damage junglers by rooting someone in front of you. So Razork has some extra options potentially available to him too. We'll see what he wants to go towards, whether it might be something like a Wukong, something like that. He's played a little bit of that. Would be a good way to get on top of that misfortune too. Which Noah is locked in. Very lane dominant. We've lost a lot of our lane dominant AD carries in the draft so far. And, blind pick of the Gnar. I would have thought on red side with Lot really angling to take a bite out of Oscar in the 1v1. They would have saved counter pick for him, but they don't.
This is what you don't know. It's Jun's secret AP support now, of course.
Oh, wow. The AP Gnar support. How could I possibly have known? GX, they flex a lot, but I'm not sure they've learned quite enough from Flexius to go that far. Xayah locked in for upset alongside the Rakan. Xayah, love his duo. Good individual unit. Can sometimes fall a little bit prey to the misfortune range of that bullet time. Now, the Rakan can cancel the MF quite well, but if the Rakan is locked up by something else, Xayah can sometimes feel a little bit bad in the individual 1v1. Jun, what does he go towards now? Do they want to lock in jungler now? Something that they do with the deaths we were talking about in the last Champions Slate. Junglers are starting to fall a little bit further down right now, so you could lock one of them in. Instead, go towards that Nautilus. It's been good into Rakan in the past because you can't hop away from a Nautilus ultimate, and it can protect the MF well, and of course set up very well for the bullet time.
With engaged supports getting a little thin on the ground, I can understand why Jun wants to go towards that. Good setup there, and good pairing potentially with a little bit more conditional CC of the Mega Gnar. Still waiting then on a jungle and mid laner for GX, whereas similar for Fnatic, but likely the top lane unless Oscarinin wants to really throw us back to an EU special of Ryze top from way back in, say, 2019.
True. Man, it's been a while since that champion's been... Actually, no, there was some games of Into Kennen weirdly.
Oh, yeah.
It was around a little bit, but not really that widespread a phenomenon. Jackie's going to get denied the Hui. Of course, mid lane is, for him, potentially going to get targeted too. GX needs some magic damage somewhere. You could technically go in towards a magic damage jungler for Isma, something like that, if Jackie's wanted to play something like the Tristana, which also does quite well into the Ryze. He has played a couple of games of it. Poppy banned away by GX, so the anti-dash champion not available for Fnatic.
Very potent, it feels like right now, that Poppy. We've seen that kind of rise to priority around the world quite a lot right now. Flexible, dangerous in the jungle, understandable ban. See what GX want to lock in here. Are they going to want to lock the mid and save jungle for counter pick? If Isma's looking at something like a Nidalee or something a little bit unusual, I can see that being an angle here.
Yeah, who do you want to give the priority to? Okay, there you go. AP damage in the jungle. Nidalee comes through for Isma, a classic for him. Razork does have the ability to see the Nidalee and pick something that can at least survive it. Not many things beat out the Nidalee in terms of the individual clear and the dueling, but you can pick something that at least can farm well enough.
lot of the standard champions that Razork's been playing now kind of off the table. Maybe something like a Xayah if he wants to match clear speed. With clear speed, played a couple games of that. Instead goes towards that Wukong. Bit more scaling, good team fight. And Fnatic, if they can get to those objective fights, have got a lot of CC and burst to work with.
Jackie's last pick on red side. Trying to counterpick a whole composition with this. The Ryze Realm Walk potentially delivering Sion or Wukong into the backline. Pretty terrifying. Also pretty good at sniping out side lanes as well. Something like Syndra has been hovered for a long time here. I'm not sure if it's actually going to get locked in. Used to be a classic matchup in the mid lane.
Okay.
There we go. A rare Syndra in the LEC and everywhere on the patch right now. Always been pretty good against the Ryze, but I'm a little bit worried about the Wukong getting on top of two immobile backline threats. Three if you even count the Nidalee more mobile, yes, but Razork and Mikyx, if they find one of these people out of position, it's very quickly to go down. Basically, very, very fragile from GX, but good range from GX on the other side of things too.
That will have to be the idea. If GX can land that initial bit of CC, the follow-up with your bullet times and unleash powers and javelin tosses will likely deplete the health bar whoever is unfortunate enough to be picked up by them. Fnatic though, with a Sion, a Wukong, the Rakan, that frontline, that CC, the AoE in the team fights can prove very deadly indeed. They need just one more win to advance further through this lower bracket. GIANTX fighting for their playoffs lives. We've got ourselves at least one more to go, and GX would like to, with another bit of fun in the draft in that Syndra, make sure we go the full distance.
This is, I believe, only our 5th Syndra in major regions worldwide. So that's LEC, LCK, LTA, LCP, and the LPL are 5 of our major regions. It's only won one game globally this split in our top tier on play. Jackie's trying to make that a second one. Quite vulnerable though, Fnatic. That Wukong feels like it's very, very deadly if it gets into the right angle, and Razork has been known to do so before. Fnatic, see if they can close out the series, or if GX bring us to a decider.
Well, welcome to LEC Airlines. We're floating at a grand total of about 50 feet across there. Hope you enjoy your flight outside your portside windows. You'll see Fnatic and GX playing off here.
And based on the observer, we'll be cruising at an altitude of about 20 feet or something like that. I guess we're your captains, and oh, isn't that a terrifying
Who's the co-pilot?
I'm not ready to decide that. I don't give me that kind of authority. So, are there any level 1s coming through from something like the Nautilus? Sometimes you do want to get involved with that Nidalee into early jungle clear. Of course, early jungle vision is very, very important against the Nidalee. Isma, even when he was on SK as well last split, pretty good at coming up with an initial plan to say, look, I want to be doing this with my pathing, bullying the enemy jungler out. And when I look at the Syndra who can get early, can get good level 2, level 3 wave control, see what Jackie's can do with that. Jackie's picking this matchup. If he knows his breakpoints well, perhaps Isma can use that to inform his early attacks.
Worth noting, of course, Isma, for all he's had some woes to deal with, his Nidalee has not been one of them. Picked it up a couple times and won both pretty handily.
No, he's been a good player of it. Played it well last split as well, as we were talking about. So it is going to be a late invade. We were asking for those level 1 plans. Goes in for a red buff steal. Razork going on to the Raptors. Starts with the Nimbus Strike. Will get himself safely to the level 2, but without his red buff.
Razork will pick up that Raptor camp pretty happily. There was an invade coming on through, and the red buff stolen away on that level 1. Good work from Isma. Already starting off as he means to continue.
Yeah, so Isma, if he can get ahead of this matchup, obviously that makes things very difficult for Fnatic. We were saying, hey, actually, it has to be Razork and Mikyx getting into the backline somehow. The Ryze is outranged, the Xayah is outranged. Syndra was always pretty good in Xayah. Even remember back in 2019, of course, when we had the Perk bot lane, Extravaganza, and everyone started playing the mage bot lanes. One of the big mages back then was the Syndra, which was very good into the likes of the Xayah, because even with a basic combo, if the Xayah disrespected and said, I don't need to use spells, but I want to use it for, say, I don't know, the Nautilus going in, you might just end up getting caught out of position from that. So, Upset, you know, he is our MVP. I think he's had a good series so far as well, largely demolishing. That was very good to sing that, by the way.
There's the hook, though. Mikyx that time around.
Oh, it's an X-Mikyx pushing up the daisies. Gone to meet his makers. Beautiful plumage, but that's all about, you can say, beautiful about that play.
Don't think he's Norwegian, so it doesn't work as that particular breed of parrot. But there you go, Monty Python references abound. Unfortunate look in there from Mikyx, and that's a little bit unfortunate.
But he was so close to stealing the Gromp. Imagine that. We were this close to greatness, this close. Almost stole that Gromp. and got out. Kill goes over to Noah, who doesn't have to blow any of his summoners either. There was no flash follow needed because of the flash over the rim.
Jungle farming, a support of your talents.
Combo going in from Mikyx, protects a little bit, but Upset needing to go a little bit longer now.
The pull comes on through. Noah avoids a few of them, so isn't rooted up. Tried for the double up, and Upset just out of range of that potential angle of attack.
Really important that Upset got those extra few auto attacks through. Lost that that mid trade very, very hard. Isma coming in towards mid lane for stun lands.
Oh no, Humanoid, where on earth are you? When he just decides he's going to clear the wave, and Isma is donated a kill. GX off to a flying start here, flash away from John on the bot side. He'll also pop by Mikyx.
What is happening in this early game from Fnatic? Now, Mikyx going in, trying to get information on the jungle, goes a little too far. Now, Jackies with the Syndra provides setup for Isma on the Nidalee, who has always had a good plan A on the champion. Fnatic need to find a way to stabilize quite quickly. Razork doesn't have the red buff, taking a decent trade here, but you are against a Nidalee. You don't always win them.
Just lost your warrior Trickster. Isma needs to think about getting over the wall here. Does so. Primal Surge. Humanoid coming on down, forced to flash, but then Razork will step on forward with his own flash. And a Nimbus Strike. A flash on forward for the Rune Prison. Do not pass go. And give over a few hundred gold.
Really well noticed by Razork and Humanoid that they had the angle there. Jun is looking to cancel the recall. There's no flash, but it'll stop the... So there was no real kill threat. They'll stop the reset coming through. Isma dying there stops the momentum a little bit. That's the kind of play which Fnatic desperately needed to stop this potentially spiraling out of control. Isma losing that flash, losing his life, giving a kill over towards Humanoid, which will get him towards his time-dependent items early, is really important.
A little over-eager there on the invade onto the Raptors. Thought with the Nimbus Strike and the Warrior Trickster down, he can look to fight that, and ends up being a little trickier than he appreciated. Still costs a flash off of Razork and of Humanoid, and being flashless into a Nidalee Syndra, we've already seen, could be a little bit dangerous for this Ryze. Yeah. Especially if he doesn't get the space rush to run away.
No, you're completely right to mention that. Investing your flash for that does leave you vulnerable later. You know, Jackies is heading towards the level 6 mark. Didn't actually see if he was running the triple tonic runes. I was too invested in watching the level 1s and stuff. But triple tonic was pretty popular in Syndra to give you kind of that level 6 all-in pressure with the elixir of, not the elixir of wrath. It's like the travel size ones, but you know what I mean. It gives you that
travel size elixir of wrath.
No, that's what Pleptomancer used to give you. That's what they used to call it. Oh, no, that's not just me memeing. It was genuinely a thing. But yeah, Jackies, if you have that, yes, he does have the triple tonic. You can see that as this little thing just in the inventory here. Gives you some adaptive force for a very short amount of time, which means that on that level 6 mark, and you look for that all-in on Syndra, can be really, really powerful, helping that first all-in.
Mikyx goes in, is immediately rooted up as a result. Down goes Noah with the Make It Rain. Turns into a Meteorologist briefly, but Razork immediately steps on forward, and Noah, forced to barrier, stays alive. Isma coming on over, misses the Javelin toss, looking for an auto or two, won't really find it. Noah burns both the summoners, nice engage there. Razork looking to get a bit of vengeance for the early game.
Really well played by Fnatic's bot lane. So often when games go wrong for Fnatic, it is Upset and Mikyx is a 2v2, which see things right. I think the early trades and then coming into plays like this too to remove HP from Noah, which means that Jun is then locked in lane. It can give a platform for Fnatic. It's been so important when things go wrong.
And I remember in draft we were saying, look, Misfortune lane dominant. Ooh, Xayah Rakan can sometimes have a difficult time into this. So far, up 10 or so CS, winning those trades, getting a load of those summoners. That's good work from the bot lane of Fnatic. MVP Upset, and of course Mikyx as well. Doing a great job down there in that bot side. Certainly one of our most dangerous here in the LEC.
Lots. Blind pick Gnar. Sion picked up afterwards. No, Sion picked for the team comp, really, trying to wave there a little later. Decent combo there. Of course, a reminder, for those of you who don't see that much Syndra anymore, has a stacking mechanic. You get a couple of splinters of Wrath every level that you level up. Then you get them for double hitting a champion, much like the center passive as well, on something like an 8-second cooldown or something like that. So hitting some those double stacks can help you get towards your ability upgrades a little quicker. Isma going to run into Razork.
Ooh, does he manage to steal away the red buff? No, he does. Now Isma in danger, hit by the Cyclone, the level 6 meter. That's just a dead Nidalee. Turn around, those Jackie unleashes the power. Mixing the 1-for-1, Noah though in danger on the top side. As violence is everywhere you look. GX, I suppose the advantage being, they did get the feat of martial mastery off that.
The early pathing in the early game looked so good from GX, but suddenly Razork is ahead of the Nidalee, stops the red buff steal coming through, gets a kill. And yes, he does go down in the 1-for-1, but it's a bad sign for GX that the Nidalee snowball has not continued. GX, they would have really liked that to just be kind of like a one and done. Okay, we're ahead in terms of XP, in terms of gold. That's not the case down on. Oh no! Spots that out. Spidey senses are tingling.
I would not have done that, and I would have died a horrible, horrible death.
I think a great many people would have done. And Upset and Mikyx getting themselves a kill on that top side. Again, continuing on the stabilization which Fnatic needed to find. Things were getting scary for them. They managed to get themselves into the lead, they'll get themselves grubs, and GX will need to find another way to start the momentum again.
Last game, we pulled up a little graphic that said, hey, if you want a bit of a litmus test to see when GX is going to win the game, it's the early control of objectives. In fact, Fnatic getting those early grubs is great news for Fnatic. We'll manage to get all three of them. Humanoid finds Isma, roots him up, and costs half the HP of the Shapeshifter.
It's really annoying. Scuttlecrab is going to be secured by GX anyway. Razork was singing to if he could sneak it away. Not able to do so.
Bot side, Lot turns into a really angry version of Gnar and starts yelling at Sion a lot. Gets shoved into the wall, and I think Osma would like to get that last minion. Actually needs to be a bit wary here. There's quite a lot of damage coming, but there's still a grasp and he should be okay. And cookies.
These are nerf cookies too. They are nerf cookies, but hey, they're still very, very useful. Lot, of course, on a good individual matchup, but Oscar will provide a lot of value to his team with that quick response tool of that ultimate. A lot of people kind of forget that Sion with that ultimate travels a long way on the map. Is kind of a semi-global in the way that we've talked about it before. If Fnatic can find an opening, you know, when we come around to this one item mark, when we come around to perhaps Herald spawning the first dragon fight of the game, stuff like that Sion ult and the Ryze ult will very quickly put GX under pressure. And the longer this game goes, the more likely it is that GX will find, will leave an opening for that to exploit.
John, potentially in danger, manages to dredge line to safety. Should be all right for now.
Interaction actually just reminded me of something which will be very important to keep track of. Wukong Rakan, really busted interaction by the way. They've got the Realm Warp. See if they need it at all. Lot, Mini, got a lot of HP to work with.
And there's just nothing to be done. Now there's an additional present for Fnatic to pick up. It's the middle of the year, and yet it looks like Christmas has come very early indeed. Dredgeline in, but Jackies can't do it. I think he's carved John up by the quickness. Triple Dredgeline knock, though, means John might well get one back, but Upset's dropped turret outgrow. Between the hop around, though, Isma now here. Where is Upset going? No way to escape. Javelin Tars hits him. Dredgeline after. In comes Noah. Gets it, no kill, and it's all getting turned around. Fnatic looking to play it out regardless. Noah continues to hop around. Razork can't get Noah survives! They lose 4!
I have no idea how that teleport under the turret somehow works out in a one fight for GX, but they end up locking up enough of Fnatic for long enough that the tower makes up the difference of their members stuck on the tower going down very easily. The Realm Walk comes through quick, play onto the side lane. We talked about that global being so important. Teleport comes in and we're thinking, oh no, he's just caught out completely out of position. He does have the orbs under tower. If that stun lands, I think actually this works even further in their favor. Jackie's being behind him. Use that ult first to put those balls on the ground. But still, Jun on his own with that triple depth charge, as you were saying, getting so much CC, allows the fall to come through as Noah makes his own way. It's weirdly, the flanking MF gets a huge amount of value.
In a 1v2, gets the kill and forces the flash out of the Ryze, and even survives to tell the tale.
Good job, my even to Narnia, and we won.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Well, the Lion, the Witch, and I don't know whether the turret counts the wardrobe, but the Ryze ult certainly did.
Hey, well, Syndra fits the second article on that, Bill. Where's we've even got a Cougar. That's about it, Lion. We've got 2 of the 3. Who's the wardrobe?
Is Isma going to rename to Aslan? I'm just saying, rename to Aslan. It's a great player name.
Man, Jackie's at least still picks up some kill participation. Fnatic, that is the kind of play which I want to see them do more, though. They had that Ryze ultimate as that global ability to pull the trigger. It's very powerful, allowing Razork an extra flanking angle to do that. Humanoid will find out Isma again. Anyone else roaming over? I mean, Razork is on the flank technically, but can't find a quick enough way to start a fight.
It does feel like Fnatic have been there every time Isma tries to even sniff at a Fnatic camp. They fought over nearly all of them very, very hard, and Isma hasn't really won a lot of those invades in terms of getting the camps over the last few moments. Got a dragon spawning in a little while, so that's not going to be on the table. Herald is not up either, so no real objectives yet to contest for at least 2 minutes.
Can we just take a minute to appreciate how good this series? Okay. Yes, we can. Thank you. We can take a minute to appreciate how entertaining this series has been, given the number of the seeding, 2nd seed versus 5th seed in playoffs, and how that has continued on from what has been a very tight-knit regular season as well. Fnatic are getting pushed here by GX, which I think in other splits, potentially, you know, lower bracket teams starting in the lower bracket would not have been given that same amount of respect. Jack is taking a really good chunk out of Razork there. GX making a good attempt at this so far, have themselves a slight gold lead. Of course, there's a very competitive game. It could, of course, all end here for GX and Fnatic go on from this game. But the fact that GX have had an early game like this and giving some sweat to Fnatic on this early game, it's a good sign for them.
And credit to Fnatic for coming back after what looked like a really nasty start to a snowball. They managed to stifle it for a moment or two. That turret dive, though, did change things around again. Noah on the misfortune gets towards the Bloodthirst, a slight lead. Isma as well picked up a lot of kills in that top side, managed to get a lot of advantages there. And those first items largely now getting completed across the board. Really wanting to blow any cooldowns as yet. Do have a kind of window here before something like the dragon spawns if you do want to use an ultimate or a flash or something.
With a Realm Warp on the table, there's always a chance to make a play. It's just setting up far enough in advance. Actually, with that in mind, let's have a look at some key things. You have a Realm Warp, so having wards like this can be very, very important. Just to make sure that there's no Wukong coming up there, so Humanoid doesn't just dip that back out of vision. Put a Realm Warp down and then threaten you as you push up another lane, especially in moments like this. Jackies needs to be very careful.
Yeah. The scat of the week did not land, and Mikyx is anything but that right now. Humanoid lands the Rune Prison, and this Syndra will once again be sent to Nautilus. It flashes away, it survives!
Close to stuff, the Realm Warp getting into retreat now. Mikyx tanks the hook. I'm just praising GX, saying you've got some vision to protect yourselves, but obviously, apparently not enough there. Jackies loses that flash. Losing flash on Syndra in a game like this is something which Fnatic will absolutely want to exploit. They do have flash on Mikyx, they do have flash on Razork. The second Jackie sets a foot out of line, it's going to get stomped on.
Credit to Jun. Few plays now where Fnatic have tried to play very aggressively with the Rakan and the Ryze, and the counterpunch from the Nautilus has been really nasty.
I know it's something which the desk has been bringing up to you, saying, hey, you know, the Rumble Flex last game really helped them get that advantage in bot lane to allow Jun to be a more creative playmaker. Here again, this was actually not about the flexibility, XYZ, but they've given themselves a good matchup, and that good early fight which we just saw before this really helped Jun and Noah have a bit more of a platform after what was a difficult 2v2.
I appreciate Isma and Jackie's trying to be sneaky like getting into that tri-brush and didn't realize we were stood on the ward the entire time and then swept and went oops. But it's all sorted. All the while though, Razork throws down a control ward and begins to start up this Herald.
To GX want to commit members to this. Remember, splashless Syndra, a little bit risky to do so. Don't want to be walking into enemy vision too much. They do have some decent wards around the area. It's not like it's completely blacked out, but Razork going to get this one without a contest.
That'll be the third objective for Fnatic as well, so a mark towards the full feats of strength for them. First set of kills went to GX. All first three objectives went towards Fnatic, and that leaves us with both teams vying for that first turret to get those oh-so-swanky upgraded boots. Speaking of...
Keeping the wave on the turret, making sure denying as many minions as possible. Why not?
Keep going, Berlin. A bit louder. Louder. That's it. Come on. Hey!
We are so entertained by brickwork here. Berlin, woo, buildings. Oscar takes it down, but denies as much of the wave as possible before it goes down.
Fantastic. And there's the feat of strength of Fnatic, as we were calling out. Dragon spawns in 15 seconds, though. Be a second dragon for Fnatic or a first for GX. Does look like GX want to fight for this.
Vision control, very, very important in moments like this. Trying to see if there's any wards behind GX right now. No, they do have a Realm Warp to Fnatic to try and open up an extra angle. Can they find a way to do so? Do they need it? Fighting over the Rip Control now, Hook misses.
Does indeed. Control Wall goes down to that banana bush, which means GX will have to fight and try and get control of it. Has been a pinch point and pain point for a lot of teams trying to fight for control of that. Jun lands the hook into the make it rain, uses the force to run on the blue buff. Razork in the backline though gets the double cyclone, and the Nidalee and the misfortune live up to the namesake. Jackies tries to run, but to where? It's just down a short hole in the grave.
Razork gets the double ultimate in the backline, and the Wukong we thought could really deal with the immobile carries in the backline does just that. Fnatic walk away with a big fight. They'll get themselves the two dragons. And as we go into a replay, just look at how deadly a position Razork is in here. There's a combo we're going to talk about earlier, which is the fact that as a Rakan, you can actually clone onto the invisible Wukong. Doesn't even need to use it there. Either of them have great ways to get into that backline. Razork, massive ults.
Humanoid survives on about 5 HP, gets out. The heal from Mikyx prevents the unleashed power from killing him as well. Jackie's was close to getting a couple back, but unfortunately for GX, Fnatic's backline engage was just a lot more deadly.
It's a really good angle from Razork. They didn't need the Realm Warp to get that one. GX just didn't have the vision control to be pushing like that. Noah pulling that ult too close to the Fog of War, and GX have discovered one of the foibles of their comp. They're that yeah, very hard to keep your carries alive if Wukong gets within close range.
And now we're in a position where the game is no longer even. Fnatic 2.7k up. Humanoid looking for a chunk onto Jackie's from the bush. Get some spell flux 3. Won't manage to find the Rune Prism. Happy enough with that chunk. Lot will at least claim the first turret of the game here for GX. And Fnatic, as I was beginning to say, a lot of the early objectives got the feat of strength up 2.3k gold. This is much more like that game 1, that game 2, feeling a lot more in control here again.
And particularly when the carries' flashes are down, they feel like they can just walk to so many threatening spots that GX just have to fire back off. Now, Jackies do have their flashes right now, so maybe they'll feel a little bit more brazen. But make a mistake like you did in that last fight again, you could be going home right here in this game. GIANTX are on their last life. This is lower bracket, this is an elimination match. They could potentially push it to a game 5 versus Fnatic, but Fnatic with this kind of lead, making things a little bit more interesting for Glance.
The start of the week, get a lot of damage onto Razork, but don't manage to unleash the power particularly well. Turning it around now with the Cyclone. In comes Oscarinin with the ult into the backline. Razork still alive. Finally goes down, but he gets so many with him. No is forced to bullet time, point blank. As Upset picked up a triple all the while. Lot's doing his best to fight to Valley, but there's still a barrier. Now Isma's too deep. Doing the hunt for a lot more. Our Fnatic 3 members chasing after Oscarinin. It's flashed on in. The decimating smash only a slow. And it's a little bit far there from the Sion, but he's feeling it, and I can't blame him.
Another huge cyclone from Razork. GX find that the Wukong is their problem, but they can't quite close him down. Fnatic will get a ton of kills. They'll get themselves a tower. They can return to the side lanes and pick up more farm than GX during this too. It's not a bad idea to try and pick off someone like this. You have a bunch of chain CC, but the delaying action from Mikyx manages to buy enough time for Razork to regain some cooldowns, get into the fight, get a ton of healing from Sundered Sky, and then of course run into the play with his Conqueror as well. Get a ton of damage before he goes down.
Lot tries at the back end of this, but it's a great ult from Upset to avoid that, and he stays alive.
Not the Sundered Sky, just Conqueror, by the way. I thought, wow, that's a lot of healing. It's got to be that. It's the Sundered Sky. Definitely helps. Not Sundered Sky, the Conqueror. That one, oh, man, words all over the place. Just like GX were after that Cyclone hit. Mikyx going forwards again.
Here we go again. The violence commences. Razork looking to go forwards. Doesn't quite have the Cyclone up and available. Mikyx ignited. It's the clone that remains, and they get out to safety, but the wards have already been put down, and GX will need to clear them out shortly. Atacana spawned on the top side of the map, and the top side river is Fnatic's to command.
Very hard for GX to play the game because Fnatic are starting to chokehold out that vision as you were talking about. Anything they miss could genuinely just end the game at this point. We're getting towards the point where another lost fight will open up Soul Point potentially in the next few minutes, and Fnatic already have so much control. Lot trying to clear through the Herald, but they might even just send multiple members to this lane just to make sure they can take down the inner turret.
Certainly going to get a charge here. Whether it would be the full turret is a slightly different matter. Lot on Mini. Should be able to throw out a boomerang or two, picks that up. Wave not really there. Rune Prism down. Mickey will battle down towards some safety. Now Fnatic have actually stayed quite a long time. No real ward TP behind, no one really who'd want to do it, so Fnatic get to back away.
Yeah, gotta say, Syndra teleport versus this comp, bold. Yeah. And Lot didn't have his himself. Worth noting that Oscar is actually ahead of gold compared to that Gnar. Typically Gnar does quite well into tanks in the side lane because you can just get mixed damage for 10 HP. Not been able to open up an advantage, so GX don't have the split push advantage in the way that they would have wanted. Don't have the jungle advantage that they would have wanted either. Isma a great start, but failed to continue on with that with 2 deaths in invades. One is on Raptor, one on red buff. Razork has really been the story of the teamfight afterwards.
We've got ourselves Soul Point available for Fnatic in about 40 seconds at the very least. GX will also be on 2 items. Fnatic yet to complete a 3rd. So as far as item parity, not a bad point to consider a fight. Clone there from Razork to get out as Jun was looking to catch him before he got to press the Warrior Trickster.
Yeah, you know, if you had a load of gold on Syndra, and you land that stun, maybe things change. GX maybe just want to buy time here. Just play things slowly. Wait for a good hook. Wait for a good spear. Make sure that your backline isn't over-committing. Noah, Jackies must be very, very respectful of Fog of War coming into the next fights.
Oscarinin was looking there to fish with a decimating smash. The javelin toss and lands on Owen. Humanoid flashes forwards though and tries to pick off Lock. They're turning around. Mickey though got the lock. He stays alive. The bullet time is solid though. Gets a large HP chunk. No one's dead though. Decimating smash lands on the Jun. Flash on forward for the Cyclone. Gets some value. Mickey looking for the flash on. It was the quickness. And they're all brought down. A double kill to Upset, who is feeling pretty damn happy. His name is a bit of a lie right now. Isma gets out alive, but they've lost Jackies, they've lost Jun. And that's going to be Soul Point to Fnatic, no doubt about it.
GX's carries just can't stand and do the damage that they want to. Fnatic will find the kills, they'll find themselves Soul Point, and GX slide one step closer to the grave. This is such an important game for them as a team on a great run of form, but Fnatic, the team unexpectedly in the lower bracket after the regular season which they had, were the highest seed in their first round matchup in the upper bracket, looking to make amends. And plays like this from Razork definitely help.
Look, we already said one of the problems that GX were going to run into is their backline carries are so immobile. Honestly, it looked like a decent start to GX to punish the attempted engage.
It did look like that at first, but then, you know, Oscar basically cancels the ult by threatening his own ult on top of MF. Razork finds an opening. It's another easy set of kills, which Upset has been doing really, really well at following up from. It is very hard as a Xayah to follow up against such a deep diving team in some cases when the Wukongs go so far forward. Often the Xayah can't keep up. Upset has been doing that. He's 6-1 and 6. He's doing a great job of following up on those kills, often committing his flash aggressively. Great to see Upset get involved in those plays.
4 flash spurn for Fnatic, and they earn themselves quite a large prize from it now, nearly 5k up. In fact, as I speak, it ticks over to 5k. Still point secured as well. This game, it has to be said, is theirs to lose right now.
Couple of minutes until GX will, I suppose, be forced to come to another objective fight. 4 minutes until the Dragon. This game, they don't have that early Dragon stack. Last game was such a big boon to them where they could drop a couple of Dragons, wait for a split push threat. In that game, it was the Yorick. In this game, they potentially would have liked to do that with the Gnar. Not been able to do that, sadly, because of the early jungle pathing going awry after a very, very good start. Fnatic are smoothly snowballing this game.
115 Splints of Wrath for Jackies. Only needs 5 more to get the full upgrade and get the Ascendance. I think that's what it's called. Ascended, something like that.
All I know is it gives you a mini death cap.
It gives you 15% extra AP, exactly.
It's Humanoid. Not going to be able to catch him, though. Ryze, pretty good at keeping himself safe.
He sort of runs really fast.
Pretty good at that, too. Gets the passive, gets the phase rush, gets a load of move speed, runs away. Jackie's on top side, having to be shepherded in by Jun. And Jackie's has decent damage, but it's just like, you never get to stand there and do it for the amount of time that you'd like to. Fnatic walk in, trying to steal Rakan.
Has at least now got the fully stacked Splints of Wrath, so that's something is the feathers. On the other hand, though, with a 3-item Xayah, do a hell of a lot of damage.
Ow! Yeah, I mean, that is a very fed Xayah. They try to steal the Raps as well. This is one of the other things about losing a game in terms of map pressure. You lose your jungle camps too, and each one of those is, you know, a couple of 100 gold each, whatever. Each time one of them goes, the enemy team is getting resources that they shouldn't have access to. You start bleeding out. Ascon started by Fnatic. Jigs would have to push up so far into enemy vision to contest. Unlikely to have anyone really go near.
They don't want to touch it. Razork and Oscarinin started as a 2-man. Upset comes on over and says, here, let me land you a hand. And suddenly the health bar depletes in rapid order. Throws some deadly plumage around, unlike the Norwegian blue from last game.
It was this game, sir.
Oh, it was. It was the beginning of this game. Oh, yes, it was.
That's how well this game is going. We've actually, I'm sorry to bring it up again for those people who have forgotten. We've actually forgotten largely about the fail flash in the early levels from Mikyx. Wasn't necessarily, that didn't determine the game. They played well through that 2v2. They played well through getting that, hang on a second, objective bounty and the solo turret goes down for long. I was wondering if how far Oscar would take that, but not far enough. But yeah, it's not really been about that early game snafu from Fnatic. They've managed to recover remarkably well, and every one of their team fights has gotten onto the carries they needed to.
And it has felt generally across the series at GX. Team fighting hasn't really been their win con. They have largely been second best in that to Fnatic. They've had to outplay in the skirmishes, in the macro, in the push and pull of the game. It worked in the last one. This game, feeling so easy.
Especially not from these gold disadvantages. As well, need we point out the fact that there is just a ridiculous amount of items on the Xayah, let alone the almost death cap on the side of Humanoid. One of the other problems coming into this too is, yes, your carries are behind, but also in the jungle, the Nidalee does want to be ahead. Very, very hard to play from gold deficits, or even as the Nidalee.
Eyes on the top right of your screen. 45 seconds until Hexol for Fnatic. If you get Hexol in this game, when you're already so far ahead, if it wasn't lights out, it certainly is there.
Yeah, observers, can we toggle over to GX Vision? Because I think that'll give a really good view of...
oh, no.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, this is the dragon which you want to secure to stop the Hextech Soul. You have no way to secure that now. Jalot is just alone. They could be in any one of these brushes.
Survival horror.
Razork's crowding out of one of these brushes. Dragon's up in 20 seconds. GX, they have to go so methodically. If they misstep, that's a carry down, that's a flash down, and they can't afford to blow that HP or those flashes.
In the darkness of the river, no one can hear you scream. Certainly can't see it. there's an alien or something waiting out there. Xenomorphs abound. Fnatic, though, take the opportunity to shove up mid lane, cause GX to stand under the minuscule light of their own mid-tier 2. But Mikyx! They left him! Mikyx, no! Well, you've now got a 5v4, but they lose Hex Soul. Mikyx sells his life well for the price of Soul.
I don't know why they had to leave him. Not trying to force a fight now in the 4v5.
We'll try, but all of the lightning begins to fly. Isma's going to throw a javelin toss or two, but they'll get out. I imagine Isma thinking about taking a javelin toss across, or a blast cone across, I apologize. In goes Lot, gets room prisoned up, but there's still a bit of a Mega Gnar to work with. The bullet time is still enough. Uptech forced to flash, stays alive, Junk goes on in, can't quite get it. Scout of the Week lands, but no power to be unleashed anymore, and they only lose Mikyx, and they get Hex Soul. Messy as that kind of was.
The fact that no one dies in the second part of that fight is beyond, it astounds me. It is beyond me how that happened. Fnatic will now lead with, yes, one dead for the Hex Soul, which is widely regarded to be the most broken soul of them all. That slow is so ridiculous to play against. As yeah, I don't really know why they had to leave Mikyx there. Goes down. GX, I mean, what did GX do at this point? You must get yourself something. Fnatic, on the reset, they haven't got that full court press currently inbound. It would be a very difficult Baron to start, but what other options do they have? If Fnatic get on, yeah, if Fnatic go onto the Muff, it's so hard for GX to fight back. They might just have to force something around it anyway, despite it being such a low percentage play.
They've gone for the vision control instead rather than absolutely rushing it, so just get the wards down. They don't start up the big purple worm. Razork now around, looking to try and get the wave shoved down mid lane, all the while in the picture-in-picture, or the mini-map rather. You can see the Ryze shoving up onto the tier 2. Bit of CC onto Mikyx. The rain is made by the misfortune. Hook then lands onto Razork, a little bit of a chunk, but not all that much fine. Fnatic hold the mid tier 1, and Ryze will pick up a tier 2.
Yeah, GX don't even start a proper fight. They don't force the teleport out of Humanoid, who is still split pushing. He'll have to back off, knowing that GX could move towards his side of the map. GX had a window of time where Fnatic were resetting. They hadn't pushed out all of their lanes just yet, and I feel like they've just missed that window to do something. Again, it was a low percentage play to do something. They need to find a way back into this. Against Hex Soul, such a difficult thing to do.
Yeah, it might have been a low percentage play, but that's because there are no high percentage plays anymore, so you've got to choose the best of a bad bunch. Maybe you wait for death cap on Syndra, maybe that's a way. And you've got a third item on this misfortune. You've got 3 on this Gnar, who is going to be a little bit annoying to manage in a side lane. The problem is if he goes against this Ryze, I feel like the Ryze wins right now, and he gets probably the entirety of this inhibitor turret. It's just taken by the minions.
Now get another turret in their split pushing benches. So GX, they recall, comes to the third item on the Nidalee. Third item on Jackie, does get that death cap. Maybe that is the go button. Maybe it's a, okay, well, that's the item breakpoint we have for this point. Does it get better than this? I suppose if you hyperscale and Fnatic hit max items, you can make up the difference in the gold because they can't spend any more than that, but it's a long time to try and survive. Fnatic still have another item slot left to work with.
Very much do. QSS just got bought by Upset, FYI. Has really run the cleanse, going to keep him in 10.
That's so important, because now if he loses the mind game and Jackie's does get the stuns, Jackie's, wow, wants to delete it, but can't get half his HP.
There's still a locket, and he just doesn't take any damage. Celestial opposition on top of it all, and Mikyx lost, what, 20% of his HP bar?
That is so low damage, and you've used your flash for that too. Again, you're forced into these desperate plays, but Fnatic, such a good job from them, choking out GX so much that they have to force these kind of plays.
Lot nearly at Mega. The bar is there, but where do you go? Scout of the Week goes wide. Tier 2 in mid lane falls, especially without the threat of the power being unleashed. Feels like a little bit low wattage. A javelin toss lands onto Upset, but a realm walk towards the Baron pit. Fnatic begin to rush it. Isma get anywhere near. Stole one last game, but already look who's waiting. Oscarinin with the decimating smash, and that Baron is gone. No way to get in. Fnatic are clean with it.
Fnatic, quick Baron take with the Realm Warp. Always that X Factor allows you to very quickly reposition around the objectives. Did it for Soul, and this time they don't even kill Mikyx for it as well. GX now staring down. Hex Soul, Baron, an unkillable Sion, and a bunch of carries on their own team that are finding it very, very hard to deal with the Wukong Rakan combo. Razork's going to jump towards Lot as well. Take his luck here.
Cyclone part 1 comes on down, but there's still an Nimbus Strike and a Warrior Trickster to work with. Gets the second knockup. Lot's still got a Sterax to it, and I think Razork has got a little deep here. Hang on, the Crushing Blow comes on down. Gets Mordo's Upset still around. Makes it a 1-for-1.
Solo kill in that scenario is not bad for Lot. Manages to take away Razork, who of course is one of the big threats onto the carries of GX. Maybe Jackies and Noah can find themselves in a better situation now with that Cyclone not threatening.
Mikyx still at half HP here. Jackies has got his power available to be unleashed again, but the Hex Soul slow still very obnoxious. John eats most of his health bar from Ryze casually pressing 2 buttons.
Deathcap Ryze will do that to you. Fnatic, no Wukong, but apparently no problems taking down this top lane inhibitor turret.
swiftly deleted. Continuing to try and find some damage here, but it's so hard to walk forward, so hard to threaten. Continuing to use the force of will, but it's a route onto Isma! And he's surely down. The bullet time is solid, but it really means very little at this point. Mikyx will fall, but a flash will forward, but that's very fast. Yankees will scatter the weak, but he is weaker still. A blip in game 3, but Fnatic here in game 4 look to make sure that the run through lower bracket is ruthless and one-sided as it can be.
With the Sion with so much HP, I think Fnatic are done with this series. GX are done with playoffs.
They came in as the second seed, they fell down from the heavens of the upper bracket, but they will make sure that the climb is decisive. GX are going home, Fnatic advance.
Fnatic clearly the better team on the day. Wonderful team fighting from them. Well stabilized after a difficult early game. This last one, a valiant attempt by GX, but clearly bested by Fnatic.